everybody, and welcome back.
Waffles.
Waffles' head just popped up so fast. Welcome back to Tattoo Homewreckers. This is a podcast where we talk about tattoos, life, and everything in between. My name is Cal, and this is
Lou.
And today, we are here to talk about a very special test. It's called the PACES test, done by the American SPCC, which is the American Society for the Positive Care of Children. Do you like how I had to
It's genuinely on their website, so font. Tiny.
Yeah, so this is the ACEs quiz. I was told to take this quiz by my therapist. And so before we get super into it, I do want to give a trigger warning. This quiz talks about childhood trauma, any kind of physical violence, sexual violence, et cetera, et cetera. That's the kind of can of worms that we're going into. So if you are at a sensitive point in your life where right now you can't necessarily go on this journey with us, don't worry about it. Pause, wait for next week's episode. We're all good to go. If you do want to go on this journey with us, then just make sure you're in a good headspace. We'll talk about some heavy stuff, but essentially, I'm just going to read off the website really fast.
Yes.
This is what to know before you take the quiz. The website says, researchers determined that 10 specific traumatic childhood experiences, or ACEs, could be linked to higher likelihood of health challenges later in life, and that the likelihood of these negative effects increased with the number of ACEs a child experienced. So essentially, you take the test, you get a number, and that number determines how high or how likely you are to have health difficulties in the future.
Yes.
So the 10 ACEs were defined as the following childhood experiences: physical, sexual, or verbal abuse, physical or emotional neglect, separation or divorce, a family member with mental illness, a family member addicted to drugs or alcohol, a family member who is in prison, or witnessing a parent being abused. Are you giggling over here?
Mm-hmm.
What's up? You want to share?
No, it's just going to be very okay.
We're just going right into it.
Yeah, I think there's one of those that didn't register is okay. I don't have to check yes for that one.
Yeah, we'll see what our numbers are. But we wanted to take the test in front of you guys, which again, this is going to be a little bit of a heavier episode. Yep. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Are you ready to take the
test?
Yes.
Okay,
cool.
Do you want to read the first question?
Absolutely. So, just so you know, I'm just reading off the website. For each yes answer, add 1. The total number at the end is your cumulative number of ACEs. I cannot read today. Before your 18th birthday, number 1. Did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often, A, swear at you, insult you, put you down, or humiliate you? Or B, act in a way that made you afraid that you might be physically hurt? Go ahead and write yes for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a yes. If you've been here for a while, yes.
So terrible.
Yes. If you've been here for a while, you've probably heard me talk about how I wrote in my journal when I was a kid about it not being okay that I was afraid to hear my mother's steps coming down the hall. And so I knew instinctually at that point something was wrong, but it wasn't until I read a book about abusive households.
Yeah.
And that was one of the attributes was did you know exactly how they were going to breathe, what that meant? And becoming an empath, and I say that in quotations because an empath is really just a hypervigilant person, comes out of that fear.
Yeah.
And how I knew whether or not what mood she was going to be in by her steps. But there was always that part that I totally thought this was normal in childhood. So I'm just here to normalize it for anyone else who's felt that way. When I could hear her walking down the hall, and even if it wasn't okay, she sounds mad, she's not stomping, I braced myself.
Yeah. And
that was also highlighted to me that I did that in my 20s because I was getting a massage at the shop one day. My massage therapist, my mom had come in early to work and I was still getting massage. And then she just popped by and then left. And my massage therapist was oh, okay, now I can see why you're so tense. because my whole body reacted. And I just had like a regular conversation with her. And so I didn't necessarily know. Yeah.
Quotes, right? Like,
I didn't know that that's like how bad it was because I was so ingrained in that system.
Totally.
So
Yeah,
that's my vulnerable story around that.
Oh, very vulnerable story. For me, I, for the longest time, could never believe that I was smart. I still have a really hard time believing that I am intelligent because, as a kid, like, I was told, I still remember the story that I was stupid for not like being able to get a math question right. So terrible as a child. And you don't say that shit to kids, dude.
Don't say that to anyone. If that's not someone's strong point. So like, I'm not trying to like interject here, but just to be clear, like I'm not really reading questions out loud because I have a really hard time reading. I'm dyslexic. And so like especially if I get nervous, reading stuff out loud freaks me the fuck out.
Totally.
So if you're like, hey, I'm not super good at math, that's A-okay. I'm the math friend in this. I love doing math and I will do any and all math equations.
For sure. I'm the spelling friend.
Yeah, I will misspell shit all the time. And you have like helped me with that wound because you meet with such like compassion around the fact that you're like, oh, it's right there. But you're always like very kind about it. And you're not like, what are you, stupid?
Yeah.
My family did that shit too.
It's awful.
But like, I can't imagine.
Justifying saying that to anyone.
No.
It's so cruel.
And it really did get internalized in like other ways because that is like a way in which,
absolutely. It's like this one memory. Obviously, it happened multiple times, but that's the memory that I feel and I can picture and like remember the most because it was so painful. And obviously, it carried it out like in so many different ways in my adulthood, and it's still something that I unpack today.
Because I don't know if you're okay with this. But when you ask a question, you will typically preface with, this is probably a stupid question.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And that like goes to show how ingrained this idea of you not being intelligent is that you will preface with, this is a stupid question. And like every time you ask, I'm like, that's not a dumb question. You ask a very intelligent question. So I'm like, wait, why would you think that's dumb? And then you'll sit there and be like, I don't know. That was just my go-to. Yeah.
That's just the way that I say that. We're unpacking shit today. All right. Number 2. Did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often A, push, grab, slap, or throw something at you? Or B, ever hit you so hard that you had marks or were injured? This one's hard because like...
I think this one is hard.
I've had stuff thrown at me, but like only once, and I don't know how much you would describe throwing stuff because I've had like a meal tossed on the plate or tossed on the table in front of me to go to me. And then I've had a hairbrush like absolutely pelted with 100% force at my foot. I wouldn't say it happened often, but like, I don't know how much there is left to dig in that memory, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the pushing, I mean, I feel like there's more like a pulling thing that definitely happened.
That would be called a grab. And
Ooh.
I think this is also, you guys are watching us trying to like which level amount of this is normal. And I think this is where it comes down to like, for all of like the like knowledge that I know around it. And granted, we are not like professionals in that sense.
Yeah.
But as somebody who consumes this a lot, I just have to like channel to be like, what would Helen say? What would Katie say?
Yeah.
And they would absolutely be like, yeah, no, even like once isn't okay.
So
I've heard that where like people have called in. So FYI, if you really like this episode, please check out Insight.
Oh yeah.
Podcast. And I'll put their link in the show notes. Also Unfollowing Mom, because it helps you see the amount of abuse that you had that is not okay.
Yeah.
I would say that if you got pulled, yanked, that is still a form of abuse.
Yeah, I don't want to say often though. That's the hardest part is like, but like how much of that is me like trying to not open those memories? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think for now, I'm going to say no, actually. For now.
Perfect.
And
that's
then
totally
we'll
fine.
Come back to it if I ever do decide to unearth or find anything else. I'll say no for now. Number 3. Did an adult or person at least 5 years older than you ever A, touch or fondle you or have you touch their body in a sexual way? Or B, attempt to actually have oral, anal, or vaginal intercourse with you? That's a no for me.
That is a yes for me, but I will not go into that on a podcast.
Yeah, we are good. 4, did you often or very often feel that A, no one in your family...
Oh, no! I just read ahead. No one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special. Or B, your family didn't look out for each other, feel close to each other, or support each other.
Oh my God, yes. That's hands down.
Yeah, I think I'll give like a slight example there because we were very much... it was a narcissistic family household. So it was very much like our family is better than everyone else's family type of situation. There's a lot of like pitting us against like other families, just like cults do, to keep you in that, to be like, hey, you can't ever leave. So if you would have asked me, actually, I say that, like, if you would have asked me when I was 20, I would have been like, yeah, we're really close. But only if my family was around, I would have told you that. If it was just me with other people, like I remember talking to a guidance counselor about not feeling safe at home. But it was that you couldn't say anything around like family. So that's where I kind of like go, oh shit, well, if you only knew me in that place, you were like, no, you were really close with your family.
Yeah.
And they were supportive, but like externally to other people they were, but then like to us.
Well, behind closed doors,
behind closed
in
doors,
the house is where all the action happens.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing is like, I don't know. I was told like, no, but I watched you thrive. I watched you get good grades. I watched you excel in sports. I watched you blah, 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 blah. And like, no, like first of all, I had no choice but to excel in everything that I could possibly try at. And then secondly, for me, I mean, love looks so different, like to everyone. And that's what makes the individualized experience so important. Figuring out what love feels like to you, how safety feels like to you. And if you're not going to do the effort to realize what that looks like for your child, then unfortunately the chance of them feeling unloved is very, very high.
And can I just circle back to something you said where they were like, well, we watched you thrive at sports, but making sure someone thrives at something is not the same as supporting them.
Period. I'm so happy you brought that up.
So when it says like support each other, that means like, hey, I'm going to support your decision to not do something.
Or like support you through like not playing as well as you needed to, or blah, 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 blah.
Support means I'm not going to put the pressure on you to have to do well. Period. So the very fact that you have this pressure of like, well, I have to perform to this level, shows that like disconnect of actually being supported, because like if I make a mistake in like our friendship, if I like fumble something, say with the business, you're not there like, what the fuck? And I don't feel like I can't talk to you about it because I feel fully supported in the fact that I'm a human being and I'm allowed to change my mind and I'm allowed to fucking make mistakes. And that's what actually like support feels like, is knowing that I can show up truly as myself and that you will love me and support me through that.
Period. Supporting and pushing are two very fucking different things.
And demanding.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. Number 5. Did you often or very often feel that A, you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, and had no one to protect you, or B, your parents were too drunk or high to take care of you or take you to the doctor if you needed it? I actually did not have to worry about that. I mean, the protecting thing... I mean, that the whole protection thing for me is definitely very, like, I didn't feel like I could be protected. I didn't feel like I had a safe place to talk to anybody about the shit that I was going through.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I definitely had enough to eat. My clothes were always clean. And, I went to the doctor. So
my clothes were clean because I washed them myself.
Talk about fucking... talk about hyper independence as a child.
I don't remember at what age I started doing the laundry, but it's so far back that I only ever remember doing it.
That's fucked. Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. So young.
Oh yeah. Really young. Like if you could stand on a stool and wash dishes, you were washing dishes.
Wow.
Like,
damn.
that is very much the case of like, hey, it was explained to us that like that is how you as a child contribute. And don't get me wrong, I am very much like children need age appropriate chores. They need to know that like a household has that contribution.
Yes, absolutely.
But also, why am I doing everyone's laundry?
Mm-hmm. Well, the labor distribution at that point is so unequal.
Yeah.
That like, again, why are you supporting the entire family in that? For me,
I still put no though.
I put no for me as well. I don't know if this is a cultural thing or if it's a singular family Filipino thing, but doing my own chores was actually really discouraged, but only in specific moments. Because the second that I did something wrong, well, you never do this. But like when I try to do things, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that.
Yep.
And a lot of it, I think, in the culture that I was like growing up in, is to keep me in the family, you know, and to keep me like dependent on and meshed, if you will. So that, just
and
two
the
very different experiences.
Culture that I was raised in was purely designed to make sure that you were a sufficient caregiver. So as your parents aged, you were able to take care of them. Wow. So that was the whole, like, my brothers got like to join the military and to go and see the world. And I was like, I fully at that point believed in it because I did not know of any other way. So when people would be like, oh, but like you, like I wanted to join the military because I was like, this is structure. Like the autistic side of me is like, this is everything I want. It's structure, it's order, it's uniforms. It's like
uniforms.
Yeah, I don't have to think about what I have to wear. You're going to tell me. And then I'm graded on like how well my outfit is. Yes, please. Let's go. That feels like safety in that structure.
Yep.
I'm sure my ADHD side would have fucking popped off and been like, I need to be chaotic. But when my brother joined the military and left, it was like, okay, well, I have to stay home to take care of our parents, which FYI at that point were like in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah, so they were fine.
Why the fuck am I already in this place of like, well, and like we had discussions around that, like as the kids of like, no, I need to be here in case something happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is, first off, this is not like way back when where it was like, yes, we had to stay on the farm to make sure that like those things could happen. No, this is like the US in 2006.
Yeah.
If something happens, they're adults.
They would.
Why are you like putting this on your 18-year-old child to be like, you can't leave home because you need to be here to take care of me in case anything happens?
No, but it's over parentification. There's so much wrong with that.
Yeah.
So much wrong with that. Are you ready to move on?
Yes.
6. Were your parents ever separated or divorced?
Yes, baby.
Nope. That's no for me, dog.
And we can talk a little bit about overparentification in that. And I will pop off for a second.
Yeah, pop off.
Do not talk to your children about your divorce.
Oh my God.
You can have age appropriate discussions.
Yeah.
But as somebody who I missed out on the last 4 years of my father's life because my mother fully, wholeheartedly used me not only as her therapist, but also as a just like holder for the poison that she had against my father. Yeah. I did not necessarily see that. I saw it as much like as I got older, but really when her and my stepdad got
sorry, our lights are being a little funky, a little crazy right now. Our bad. Continue your story.
So as my mom and my stepfather separated and I saw her repeating the same thing, I was able to see that cycle of like, hey, I'm going to like try to poison you against this person, which is what happened to me. So from the time that I was 14 to 18, which my 18th birthday is the last time I saw my father, because he passed away shortly thereafter. But because I fully absorbed all of that like poison of all the shitty things that she had said of like how awful he was. And then looking back and seeing that like, first off, like whatever the fuck it was, their marriage was their marriage. And that should not be on me, the child. Because at the end of the day, no matter how old your child gets, they are still your child. They are never meant to hold that burden for you.
Period.
And that, like, it's something that I'm super passionate about because of the fact that this is the parent-child relationship. So do not talk shit about your fucking ex. If your kid wants to vent, absolutely let them vent.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get to put that burden on your child when this is their parent.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And rant.
Even if they're not separated, don't talk to your kids about the fights that you have with your spouse. Because I definitely experienced that a lot, where a lot of the times there'd be a big blowout. You know, my mother would be like, you know, you need to go and get your dad, because he would have to physically remove himself from the house because things would get so bad and so heated, and they would be screaming at each other. And like paint this picture of like, your dad's terrible. You need to get him to come back. And this is what he did. And this is what he said. And he's a horrible person. So like, it was up to me as like a fucking 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old to go and drive off and go and, you know, get him. And upon hearing his side of things, all right, so yeah, she hit you and you left.
Mm-hmm.
That makes fucking sense. Never mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where just fucking keep your kids out of it. They have no business knowing. And also, just don't sway either party, because they're so easy to be influenced.
Yeah. And also, to be clear, if you fight in front of your children, repair in front of your children.
Oh, I love that.
Because we only learn, like, if you grew up in a household like mine where I never saw my parents repair, which meant that I am now 17 years into my relationship with my husband, and neither one of us ever learned from our parents how to repair. So, like, last night we had a, like, altercation, and we were not like a physical altercation. But last night, yeah, we both hit each other's, like, buttons. He actually just walked in the door. And we're both feeling sensitive. And then we're just sitting there awkwardly being like, I don't know how to make a repair here. So your children learn how to fight from you, but they also learn how to repair from you.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the biggest things that I had seen in a therapy, like, I guess, podcast. And they were talking about that as like the amount of parents that will fight in front of their kids, but then never repair, because you repair behind closed doors, is to repair that in front of your child. So your child knows, A, they're safe in that environment, but B, they also learn how to repair. Totally. Otherwise, you end up like us, where I'm damn near pushing 40 and I'm like, what is the next step of this?
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, I don't know. I love that you brought up the repair thing, because now that I think about it, I'm like, I don't think I was ever shown a repair other than like, you buy them something nice and then go out to a fancy dinner. And now when that shit happens to me, when people try to take care of me and buy me something nice or go out, I see it as like a place of danger. And so there's that. So maybe authentic repairs, please and thank you.
Yeah, ours was to just ignore it, and the next day
sweep it under the rug,
and the next day you're kind of prickly around each other and you're like, oh my God.
For sure. All right.
Perfect.
7. Was your parent or caregiver A, often or very often pushed, grabbed, slapped, or had something thrown at him or her? Or B, sometimes, often, or very often kicked, bitten, hit with a fist, or hit with something hard? Or C, ever repeatedly hit over at least few minutes, or threatened with a gun or a knife? Ooh.
I'm very fortunate in that I did not have to witness any of that.
I never witnessed any of the hitting, but I know that it like must have happened at least once, because I only have one memory of it happening. So I'm just going to say no for that right now. I know that one time is still not good, but anyways. 8. Did you live with anyone who is a problem drinker or alcoholic, or who used street drugs? I'm uncomfortable with saying on the podcast, so I won't say that.
That's okay. Yep. I'm going to not answer that one on the podcast.
Number 9. Was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or a household member attempt suicide? I'm also not going to answer that on the podcast. And, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I can talk about that one.
Totally, yeah.
That was absolutely the case. At that point, when I was growing up, there wasn't a diagnosis around it, but I did discover later on that there was a diagnosis that did happen. But I'm no longer in contact with that person, so... But, so I definitely know what it's like to grow up with somebody who is not mentally ill. Totally. And I will give this little thing, and I think I've said it before on here, but in case this is your first time here, I used to wish that my parent was an alcoholic, so that way I had that from people.
Yeah.
Where it was like, okay, well, at least if there was alcohol in the picture, then people would understand how bad it was.
Yeah.
So like now I can at least be like, okay, well, we're diagnosed with this. But it was something that I like wished for. I was like, but it, like my peers that were also suffering. And it was like, well, if your like parent is a drunkard, then at least you were like, well that's why they act like that.
Right. The rest of society was so much easier to accept that, right?
Yeah. And for me, because there wasn't a mental like health diagnosis, and there also wasn't like, you know, drug use or like alcohol abuse, then I didn't have that. So trying to explain to people to be like, you don't understand. Like 1 minute it's fine. And the next minute, like, I don't know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And then actually, that being said, yeah, there was actually, I need to fucking fix that part.
Okay.
Of the top part, because there were definitely steroid usage.
Oh,
that
there you go.
changed. Yeah. That
right.
roid rage is a real thing, you guys.
Fucking love lies bleeding, dude. All right.
Yeah.
Number 10. Did a household member go to prison?
No.
Sweet. Okay. Awesome. So download your, wait, where's the submit button? That's so funny if we went through this entire thing and there's no submit button.
Yeah.
Do we maybe? Oh wait, no. We just
know.
add points based off of your yes. So I'm gonna go ahead.
What?
So you have to count how many yeses you have.
Yeah. I hit a submit button.
Oh,
Go
where's
down?
your submit button?
Oh, where? I don't know. Mine was 7 out of 10. I don't know what that says to me because it says download your free copy of the tips. But yeah, I got a 7 out of 10.
Wait, you got a freaking. Yeah, I didn't have it. Okay, let me manually count
There
this.
you go. I'll manually count yours. You read that.
Okay, so what does your ACEs score mean? So Lou got a 7 out of 10. The quiz score is based on 10 types of childhood trauma measured in the original ACEs study. 5 are personal: physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, physical neglect, and emotional neglect. 5 are related to other family members: a parent who's an alcoholic, a parent who's a victim of domestic violence, a family member in jail, a family member diagnosed with a mental illness, and the disappearance of a parent through divorce, death, or abandonment. You get 1 point for each type of trauma. The higher your ACE score, the higher your risk of disease, social, and emotional problems as an adult.
You got a 4 out of 10, and I got a 7 out of 10.
Oh, shit, dude. I cannot wait to text my therapist because she guessed my number.
Did she say? What?
Damn, she's good. She's so good.
That's
She's so
crazy.
good at her job, dude. That's dope. Damn, yours is a 7?
Yeah.
Oh, how cute right now.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for my little
I'm happy.
hug.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm happy we're out of it. Fuck this
Yeah.
shit. Damn.
I was like, it won't be that high. Like, oh.
With your hypervigilance,
Like-
I actually figured it was going to be around that number.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
kinda
that
what I
makes
figured.
sense. Yeah.
For sure.
That's the thing. You grow up in a fucking, if you think you're an empath,
yeah.
I would question your childhood.
Yep.
Sit with that for a minute.
Well,
'cause
if
it sucks.
Yeah, and if you have that like acute, like, I don't know, pattern recognition where you can tell where things are going to go, or you can predict what is going to happen, or like any kind of prediction, and you're like very much aware that like, no, this is probably what's going to happen, then, you know,
Yeah.
I would take
Partly
the ACEs score.
because you lived through that shit. So
Yeah.
you're like, hey, I see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And then partly just because you have to develop that side of your brain. When I found that out, where it was like, hey, if you're really good at pattern recognition and you're good at those like predictions, it's because you had to do that throughout your childhood. So that area of your brain is very much overdeveloped.
Totally.
Which sounds like an awesome skill. And don't get me wrong. In other ways, it is an awesome skill. But when we overdevelop one part of our brain, it means we underdevelop other areas. So the parts of me that are like, cool, I can just chill and relax, don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, basically you guys got to go on a journey with us. And apparently I am
Unpack some shit.
70% traumatized.
Yeah, and I'm only 40.
Yep.
Substantial, but enough for me to be like, I'm out.
I can't believe that she guessed it right. That's dope.
Yeah,
That's a
she's so
dope
good.
ass therapist.
I know. I love my therapist so. She is truly the best. Just the best. And yeah, so thanks for going on this journey. Sorry it's a little bit of a heavier episode, but honestly, I hope that you guys still enjoyed it.
Sorry.
I shouldn't be sorry, huh?
No.
I felt weird
You
saying
guys,
sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's growth.
Yeah.
that you felt weird saying sorry.
I did feel kind of weird saying sorry.
I will state I'm not sorry. If you enjoyed this or you connected with this, please reach out. I would love to talk to you about it.
Yeah, dude, take the ACEs test. It's free. It's on the internet. It's literally American SPCC. Again, take the ACEs quiz is what it is. Figure out your score. Maybe it'll help you unpack a few things. Maybe it won't. Who knows? Only one way to find out, and that's to fuck around.
And on that note, what is your win for this week?
Oh man, my win for this week is just being honest about this test. And it's scary being honest about that shit. But and like, you know, publicly saying it on the podcast for sure is super duper scary. But at the same time, like, I'm a firm believer that anything that happens to you is your story to tell. You own the rights to that story. And you're able to tell it whenever you're ready or, you know, whenever you feel safe or comfortable. And I felt safe enough to tell this story. And that's my fucking win, is the fact that, like, yeah, this shit happened to me. I'm going to own it. And also, like, if you didn't want people to talk about it, maybe treat people better, period.
100%.
What's your win for the week?
My win is that we're about to, or at least I am. I'm not going to speak for you. I'm about to go play some Connect.
Oh, fuck. Yes,
we just got a different game in. We've got a Disneyland game.
I need to work out.
Which means you get to fucking be Remy from Ratatouille. And quick side story on that one. For anyone that doesn't know, I love shrooms. I love, like...
psychedelics?
Yeah, I love psychedelics. That's, like, my jam. If I could get, like, safe other types of psychedelics, I would do it. However, like, I don't know how to get them safely.
Shrooms are the way to go.
So shrooms are it for me. So is, like, copious amounts of marijuana. Because you can get a solid trip when you take a couple edibles.
I'm good. I don't want any...
But we went on the Remy ride and got to, and Caboose and I had been on it when we were in Paris, that Disneyland, and it was like, it was cool, but like it wasn't nearly as good as like when we all went on it and we're peeking out and we're going underneath the burners on that ride. And it was like, oh my God, I'm actually a mouse. I'm experiencing this. I am Remy. I know what this is like. And the only picture they have, because Connect at this point is almost vintage. So the only picture they have is like you underneath the burner as Remy. And I'm really excited to live my, like, once again, I'm not currently tripping, but like, hey, I'm going to relive this experience because that's one of my favorite memories is
I'm just saying
our whole pod down in
Disneyland on shrooms, best fucking experience of my life. So fucking good. Yep. So good.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is truly a completely safe space for me to be able to like take an edible, have a drink, wander around, feel like I am 100% safe and know that like, yeah, it's just a jolly good time.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
10 out of 10.
I'm about to go be Remy.
I'm about to go be Remy. Call me Little Chef, bitch.
And on that note, like, subscribe, all that regular shit you're supposed to say. We love you guys. And if you take this test, I hope you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just reconfirms some stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know if you're comfortable with it, what your score was. Tell us your experience with taking it. We would love to hear it. And if not, thanks for listening.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Bye. 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 Bye.